Okay, hello, my name is Mike. I am the computer guy here at East Chicago Public Library, and today we're going to be talking about word processing part 1. Please forgive the slide. I needed to update that, and I did not. So we've only got 4 classes left for this semester, kind of. So this is part 1 of word processing, starting right from the beginning, getting used to how to use our computer as a typewriter. This is a little group of classes I like to call productivity tools, because these are the kinds of classes that if you're looking for new work, this is a good thing to know. Okay, when you do apply for jobs, they often say, do you know Word? Do you know word processing? Do you know spreadsheets and stuff like that? So this will give you a good overview of how those things work. So next Tuesday, June 16th, is going to be part 2 of this class, and then we're going to have a 2-part spreadsheet class. And that is using Microsoft Excel. So I do 2 semesters. I do a spring and summer semester, and then I do a fall and winter semester at our other location on Friday afternoons. In between, we got a couple of months where I take a break and I work on classes, but lately I have been doing a little smattering of classes in between the semesters. Last break, I did these classes, and they were popular. And I feel they were successful. So on Tuesday, July 21st, we're doing a media literacy and misinformation class, and that is to talk about how our media landscape has changed in our lifetimes. And it's changed a lot. And it's going to change a lot more, a lot faster as we go forward. So we talk about how do we know what's true? How do we trust media, right? How do we keep ourselves from being addicted to these phones and scrolling all the time? Okay, these are important things to talk about. So in our media literacy and misinformation class, I talk about that, modern media, and I also have a guest come in and talk about the importance of a free press in our society, because the press is in our U.S. Constitution, okay? It is designed to keep, our forefathers were smart enough to put it in there because they knew politicians are liars. Right? Amen. And you need somebody to hold their feet to the fire. Okay? But increasingly, more and more these days, we find wealthy and politicians trying to corrupt that very truth preserving system. Okay? So I have a guest named Michael Puente. He is a lifelong journalist from East Chicago. He works now for, what was that?
My neighbor. He was my neighbor.
He was your neighbor, okay. And so he works, I think he lives in Maryville or Sherrville now, and he works for Chicago Public Media, which is also WBEZ, Chicago Public Radio. And he's going to be here, and he's going to talk about the importance of a free press in our society and answer any questions you may have. Because the press, still today, is what we call an arbiter of truth. That's where we get truth from. It's not perfect, though, okay? But it's a whole lot better than believing strangers you know on Facebook or politicians, all right? So he'll be here to talk about that. So that's a fun class. It's lecture only. We're not on computers, but it's an important class. And I use that class to kick off a 4-week mindfulness class. And they're only 1-hour sessions, and it's once a week for 4 weeks. And what we do is we talk about healthy ways to use technology in our life now, because nowadays technology is everywhere. Our phones are with us all the time, and in some ways that's great in case of emergency. You know, it's really nice to have a camera in your pocket all the time, but it's also affecting our health, and it's affecting our well-being, and it's affecting our dopamine receptors in our brain. So what we do in this 4-week mindfulness class is I spend the first part of class talking a little bit about what we can do to use our phones and our technology in a more healthy way, and maybe take that home to our kids and family, but also how to practice mindfulness meditation, which in the East has been around for 2,600 years, long time. And it's so important to their society in Eastern cultures that some cultures have made it into a religion. Okay, in our Western culture, it's a fairly modern thing, but it's not really looked upon the same way. It's thought of as a mental exercise, okay? But meditation has been around for a long time, and it has permeated everything from Greek philosophy, which predated Christ, to Christ would go and meditate in the desert. And it's in Jewish religions and Muslim religions, and most religions have a form of meditation. And what it does is it's just a mental exercise that nowadays is used by psychologists in something called cognitive behavioral therapy. It's a way to calm down your mind and to start to realize how your wandering mind affects our daily life. And that's what we do for a 4-week Mindfulness for Modern Times class. So I'm going to promote those for the next couple of weeks, and then if you are interested in those, we'll take down your information and give you a call when that comes time.
It's not a form of yoga, right?
Yoga is stretching. No, it's not yoga. But come to class. It's a mental exercise is basically what it is. It's a concentration exercise, primarily. And it has a lot of benefits. I've been doing it for about 10 years now. I've been meditating for about 10 years. And it helps. It doesn't cure everything, but it helps. Every little bit helps. So if there's something in these classes that we do not cover and you need more help, we have a community help desk twice a week at our other location, every Tuesday and Thursday from 1 to 4 at the main library. And that is free one-on-one help with whatever you need technology help with. Classes, your phones, your laptops, something broke at home, anything you need help with, come on in between 1 and 4 at the main library. You can bring in your own devices, but there's no drop-offs. You have to remain with your device at all times. Okay, so today we're going to go 2 hours with a break halfway through. Is it warm in here, or is it me?
You.
A little warm. It's my coat and my coffee, it's probably.
You ain't so coffee. It's all right.
And it is warm. Okay. So today we're going to be working with a piece of software that's installed on these computers called Microsoft Word. It is a type of software called a word processor. And you don't have to use Microsoft Word. There are other alternatives to Microsoft Word if you want to do word processing. And I'm going to show you a couple of those alternatives. Then we're going to talk about working in the cloud versus working on the computer, because one of the alternatives is a free cloud-based alternative, and it's nice. And then we're going to open up Microsoft Word. We're going to start learning how to get around Microsoft Word and start learning our keyboard, and we're going to start learning how to type. And then we're going to save our file. Now, last week, if you were here for the end of Computer Basics Part 3, we learned about how files are managed in our operating system. So we're going to use Microsoft Word, our application, to create an individual file that we typed up, and we're going to save it into our little file cabinet on our computer, and we'll see what that looks like. Okay. So if you've been through all of these classes, you've heard this spiel before about the cloud. The internet and the cloud are the same thing. The cloud is just kind of like a nickname for the internet. So if you're looking at a website on the internet, you're looking at a website that's actually out in the cloud. And they call it that way. They call it the cloud, I think, because they don't know where, because people don't normally know where you're looking at. As far as you know, it's out on the internet someplace. It might as well be out in the clouds someplace, right? But email is now on the cloud. If you go to Yahoo Mail or Google Gmail, you're going to a website and you're logging into a fully functional piece of software for your email that's not installed on your computer. It is out there on the internet someplace, out in the clouds. It's actually in one of these data centers that everybody's talking about. That's where all this data resides, okay? The cloud, we store information in the cloud. Now, we talked about last week how we can store computer files on our computer. We can also store those same files out in the cloud, out in an account that we create that's protected with a username and password. Why would we want to do that? Because it's really handy because it makes things mobile. Okay? If I save something in my Google account or in my Apple account, any computer in the world that I can get to that has an internet connection, I can log into my Google account or my Apple account and I can get to those files. They're not stuck in my computer at home. They are on a website that's accessible anywhere you can get to a computer. So you could be visiting a friend in California, you can run to the library and you can pull up your Google account, check your mail, look at your documents and that kind of stuff. Cloud computing is when you're using a fully functional computer program that is not installed on your computer. Now, in our computer basics class, part 3 last week, we learned that an operating system, you can install many different applications, right? And those applications do specific tasks for you, like creating a spreadsheet or typing a letter. Today, we're going to be using Microsoft Word. It's an application installed on this computer, on your computers, okay? That is a type of application we call a word processor. Okay? It's a typewriter, an electronic typewriter. Google has a cloud-based version of that software called Google Docs. And if you've got a Gmail address, you already have access to their free online word processor called Google Docs. They've also got a free cloud-based spreadsheet program called Google Sheets. I'm going to show you Google Docs today. I'm going to show you the differences between Google Docs and Microsoft Word on your computer. But they're both the same type of application. Okay? They're both basically just computerized typewriters. Okay? The nice thing about using Google Docs, a cloud-based word processor, is you can type a letter and give it a name, like letter to my boss. And then you could be at a friend's house and log into your Google account and get to that letter. Or I can be working on, they also have Google Slides, which is an online cloud-based slide program, kind of like PowerPoint will generate like slides. That's what I use here. These are the slides that we're looking at here. These are Google Slides, and they're cloud-based, which is nice because I can be at my office in the main library. I can make updates to my slide presentation, and when I get here, I just log into my Google account and pull up the slide presentation, and the change I made at my office is reflected here because that slide presentation exists in one place, in my Google account. And whether I get to it from here or my office, it's the same slide presentation. That's what's great about working in the cloud. Okay?
Does Google have an application that's equivalent to Excel?
Yes, and that's called Google Sheets. Google Sheets. And we'll take a look at that next week. But if it's all the same folks, I probably won't go into the differences too much because the differences between Google Docs and Microsoft Word, it's the same differences in Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel.
So the actual difference then is what operating system you're running on.
It's running through a Chrome browser. It's not on an operating system. So, when it's cloud-based, that means that whatever browser you're using, the browser is what's installed on your operating system. So you can have an Apple operating system, an iOS operating system, and you can be using their browser called Safari, and you can get to Google Docs the same way you could if you were using a Windows operating system with a Chrome browser or Internet Explorer, Microsoft Edge. See, so when you're working in the cloud, what's nice about that is all of these things just open in your browser. So we talked about Apple operating systems and we talked about Windows operating systems. Something we didn't talk about is Google Chrome, the browser, became so popular that now if you're using Google Docs as your word processor, or Google Sheets as your spreadsheet, and Google as your email, you may be using a Windows computer just to use a Chrome browser. and nothing else. If you can type a letter and work on a spreadsheet and photo edit in your browser, in the cloud, then you don't even really need a full Windows computer. So they make a laptop nowadays called a Chromebook. And what a Chromebook is it's a laptop with no operating system at all. When you turn it on, it opens up a Chrome browser and it gets you on the internet and nothing else. Your phones and tablets already kind of work that way. If you were and many of you were in the tablets and smartphone classes at the beginning of this. Remember, I start there because the tablets and the smartphones, they have operating systems, but you typically don't use it that way. They're cloud-based devices. Everything you're using is based in the cloud. In a Chromebook, it's the same way. But it's in a laptop form factor, very much like what we're working at here. You turn it on, and it just opens up a Chrome browser. You log into your Google account, and you can type a letter. You can do your photo editing in Google Photos. You can create a spreadsheet in Google Sheets. You can email. You can look at the news. And for a lot of people, that's all you need. You don't need a full Windows operating system if you're not a heavy user. If you don't really need an operating system. It can be in a more inexpensive way to go, much like using a phone and a tablet for everything. And if you're primarily using it just for that, a little bit of email, maybe type a letter here and there, you don't need a full Windows operating system. Good?
Yeah, I guess so. So that's like with those Chromebooks that were being sold. The same thing applies.
Did you get one?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. So that is exactly what that is. So we had a Juneteenth, our friends of the library had a Juneteenth thing on Saturday, and I was selling off some of the old Chromebooks that we had in our youth services department. And they're 5 years old, but they have a long life because they don't have a full operating system. So he was asking if that Chromebook was the same thing, basically.
Okay.
So I'm glad you got one of those. Those are nice little computers. The kids use them a lot. So what I had them purchased for the students during COVID. Because if you remember around that time, there were a lot of e-learning days where the kids couldn't go into school, and there's a lot of people in town who don't have an internet and computer, and they got to come into the library and do that. So we bulked up on these Chromebooks to accommodate the students who were coming into the library when they couldn't come into school. Okay. So before we take a look at our two word processors, I'm going to first show you Google Docs, the cloud-based one, and then we're going to actually start using Microsoft Word installed on our computer. I want to tell you a little bit about the keyboard, because most of us, our age, we learned on typewriters in school. So I kind of want to tell you some of the differences between what we learned on typewriter and what a modern computer keyboard is like. So first of all, I want to talk to you about this, the enter key here. You see, they called it enter or return. So in the old days, it was a return key. It wasn't called an enter key because it was a carriage return. Remember? Yeah. You'd type and the whole thing would go, you get ding, and you had a chunk, you know, and you had a lever to get down to the next line and start typing again. Nowadays, we don't have a carriage return anymore. What we have is what they call wrapping. So on a typewriter, you would type to the end of the first line and you'd get to the margin, right, the 1-inch margin, and there was you'd set the margin, and then it would cause a bell to ring to tell you, hey, you're out of space. If you keep typing, you're going to go off the paper. So you had to move it down to the next line and get the carriage to the next line. Nowadays, in a word processor, you don't have that. Is when you get to the end, it automatically goes down to the next line. It just knows. So, and we're kind of used to that with our phones, right? We see it just automatically word wrap like that. So now they call it an enter key. And we'll see what that is when we get a little bit more into Word, what that means. It's not, in typewriter days, it was a line break. We go to the next line. Nowadays, the enter key is what we call a paragraph break. So you're supposed to keep typing until you're done with the paragraph and then hit the enter key. And the enter key, so even if you're like halfway through, if the paper's this long and you're halfway through, but you hit a period, but you're done with the paragraph, when you hit the enter key, it kind of does a carriage return for you. It takes your cursor, it's that little blinking line that shows you where the letters are going to come out when you type. It takes that cursor back to the next row and gives you a little bit of space, because you'll have a little space between the paragraphs, a little bit more space than you do between the lines. That's all customizable, but when you just get in and start typing, you'll notice that the lines are more than single space, like 1.2, something like that, and then the paragraph is like what they call 6 points, so it's a little bit more space between the paragraphs and the lines. Okay. Of course, they do have a home row up here. This is where you're supposed to put your hands when you're typing. This is not a typing class. Not going to be teaching you how to type.
Good.
I learned how to type, but I really didn't use it that way. I hunt and peck, and I do a real fast hunt and peck, but yeah.
You say that's where I come in and I can help, right?
Yeah, please. She used to teach keyboarding.
My class, they had to know ASDF.
Yeah.
ASDF.
Yeah, ASDF.
JKL semicolon, right?
That's right. So that's your home row. Right.
Yeah.
So that's where in typing where they taught you to.
They had to know how to properly key,
Right.
not peck.
Okay. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is backspace. And we have a backspace, but we also have a delete. Delete's not on this image. I stole this image from the internet. But in the top right-hand corner of the keyboard here, you're going to have a backspace key. And then on this keyboard is a delete key. And it's very close. Right above, if you look at the keyboards on your laptops, you do have a delete key above the backspace. And we'll see, we'll work with that. They're both a little bit different. Backspace will delete backwards. Delete will delete forwards. We'll play with it. You'll see. We do have a numeric 10 keyboard on the right, which typewriters did not have that, did they?
No.
I do not remember that at all on a typewriter. They call that 10 key, and if you're a banker or an accountant, you can 10 key the same way you can type without looking. And if the 5 has got a little dot on it, so you can feel where the 5 is, and it's quick to learn. It's a lot quicker and easier than typing. I actually learned how to do that. You can learn that real quick. And I don't know why, but for some reason, on the old style telephones, the numbers were upside down. The 1, 2, 3 was at the top, but on the 10 key on a keyboard, the 1, 2, 3 is at the bottom. Is that still that way on my cell phone? I bet it is. I thought to myself, do I even dial numbers anymore? I guess I dial numbers sometimes. But most of the time I'm picking the name off a list to call somebody. Yeah. So if you look at your dial pad on your phone, the 1, 2, 3 is at the top. But on the keyboard, it's at the bottom. I don't know why. Okay. A tab key. We had a tab key to give us indentions. Okay, nowadays we indent a different way. The tab key is not for indentions anymore. The tab key can be a very handy way to make nice, perfect columns if you need something in columns on a word processor. And then we have a shift key and we have a caps lock key. Those were both on typewriters.
Yeah.
Those were both on typewriters. So the shift key is what you hold down to get uppercase letters. So you hold down the shift key, keep that shift key held down, and then you can type letters and it'll be uppercase. If you're going to do a whole bunch of uppercase, then you have caps lock. So you can hit caps lock and it'll lock the shift key so everything's capitalized. Okay? And we've all seen people on the internet replying with all caps. And that's, so
You're not supposed to do that.
they say, well, you can do it, but people feel like they're being yelled at if they read things in all caps. So you can do it if you want to yell at somebody. You might want to yell at somebody. But most of the time, that's because somebody accidentally hit the caps lock key and didn't realize it and just typed away. we do have something called emojis, right?
Type on your laptop.
No. But on our keyboards on our phones,
Yeah.
we got emojis, little smiley faces and stuff. So those originally started with people putting like a colon and a dash and a right parentheses to make it look like a smiley face, right? That was an emoji. And then they slowly moved into like little characters of smiley faces or confused faces and stuff like that. That actually has a purpose to it. And the purpose to it is in early days of email, which I was a computer guy in the early 90s when we first started hooking email up. People tend to read messages that in text in the mood they're in. So if you're ticked off about something or in a bad mood, then you can read something that somebody else wrote, and just because you're in a bad mood, it'll sound sarcastic to you. Or sound like they're in a bad mood. Yes.
And the other way.
And the other way too.
Yeah, because when I used to work, if I got an email that I thought was, kind of not so kosher,
Yeah.
I would have to I was taught not to reply.
Give it a day.
To calm down,
Right.
mellow out.
Give it a
and
day.
Then send it, because your expression, you would express that in your, in your message.
Yes, that is true. That is a good idea. But the reason I bring up the emoji is because people realized that when we talk, we're getting real subtle information between us.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell if somebody's annoyed by very subtle facial reactions or the way they move. You can tell when you're sitting across from somebody if they're uncomfortable or annoyed, or if they're happy or if they're sad. And sometimes they don't even have to say anything. We interact really good that way. Right. And when you're texting, when you're not seeing somebody, and the only information that's going back and forth between them is text, well, people realized it was helpful if they could put emotion into the text they were writing. And that's where the emoji came in. Because they tried creating like new punctuation marks for a while. There was a sarcasm mark. Right? So we have an exclamation point, and that'll kind of convey something. And then they tried to come up with a sarcasm mark, because somebody can be sarcastic. You can tell if I'm sarcastic if you hear it out of my mouth. You might not be able to tell I'm sarcastic if I'm typing it.
Yeah.
So now that's what the emoji's for. If they put a laughy face at the end of it, they're kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's kind of what the emojis are for.
But different emojis mean different things, right?
Right. So it started because,
To use.
well, the whole point of it is to try and convey emotion that might have been conveyed in your voice or your face if you were sitting with somebody. Mm-hmm. And if you're not sitting with them, it's a good idea when you type that information in to put a smiley face if it's sarcastic, or a laughing face, or stuff like that. Okay, so Control and Alt. The space bar, we all know what the space bar does. Control and Alt are new keys that weren't on the typewriter at all. And on laptops, sometimes you'll see a function key called FN. I think we'll have a function key on our keyboards here. And the function keys and the Alt keys can do different things. I'm not going to go into those. I'm going to talk about the Control key, though. The Control key is something that you're going to use a fair amount when it comes to word processing and spreadsheets. Because if you hold down the Control key, it creates letters that are shortcut keys for other things. And why do we need shortcut keys on the keyboard? Well, just about everything we can do with a shortcut key, we can go to our mouse and do, but that takes time. And if you remember in typing class, when they were teaching us not to look at the typewriter and look at the paper and just type, well, it's the same thing now. If you're on a computer and you're a secretary or you're somebody doing data entry and you're doing a lot of typing, learning those shortcut keys are a lot faster. Because you can just hit the control key and hit C to copy. You can hit the control key and hit V for paste. So remember last week when we were talking about right-clicking or going to a menu to choose copy and paste, we can do the same thing with shortcut keys. And that is what the control key is for. Okay. And we'll talk a lot about those shortcut keys as we go forward, and we're going to use them a lot. So you're going to get to know what a lot of the common shortcut keys are. And there's a lot more that we're not going to get to because there's lots of shortcut keys, but the control key is that. Control P, for example, is the same as going to like the file menu and choosing print. Control P is a shortcut key for print. So that's what that is for. Okay, so let me get out of here and let's take a look at Google Docs. So the first thing I'm going to do, who in here has Gmail address? Most people, because if you have an Android phone, they want you to have a Gmail account to tie that to. So if you log into your Gmail account, you're going to see a little checkerboard here. And that little checkerboard is called your Google Apps. And if you float your mouse over it, it says Google Apps. All of these apps, if you have an Android phone, all of these apps you can download. You probably comes with it if it's an Android phone. And if you don't, you can download it. And if you are an Apple phone user, you can download these on an iPhone as well or on your tablet. But if you have a Gmail account, you get lots of other things, other apps with that account. For example, you get a Google Drive. Google Drive is your online cloud storage. Okay? If you have a Gmail account, you have your own Google Drive account too. Okay? Google Drive allows you to store files from your computer up into the cloud in your Google account. What?
Do we need to log on, Mike? Or not?
I mean, I don't know how to find my Google account on my phone.
Well, I'm showing you on the computer.
Okay, so we're dealing with the computer now.
Right. So on your phone, you'll have your own app. So you can swipe up from the bottom to the apps, and then you should see your Drive app, your Gmail app, your Calendar app. These are all apps that will also be on your phone. Your Contacts app, they even look like this. So if you have an Android phone, you should have Gmail, Google Drive, Google Calendar, and Google Docs and Google Sheets. And if you are missing one, you can go to the App Store and you can download it as an app. Those same apps that are used on the phone can be used on a desktop computer. And that's what we're going to be doing today. So if you go to a full laptop or computer, open your browser, log into Google, this is what it's going to look like. And you're going to have a checkerboard up here with your apps, and these are the same apps that you see on your phone. You'll have a Google Drive app for storing things. And here's Google Docs.
Yeah, I thought there were documents.
It's a piece of software that is for word processing. It's a word processing program. It's just like Microsoft Word, but it's cloud-based. So I'm going to show you. So right now what we're looking at is we're looking at Google Docs. It's just a website, but you can type a letter the same way you can type it on Microsoft Word.
Okay.
So that's the same thing that was on those pieces that you were selling.
Right. This is Microsoft Word. Okay? And we're going to fire this up on your computer in a minute. I'm going to have Sam go around and help you do that. But I want you to see the difference between the two things. So when you open up Microsoft Word, what you see first is it says, okay, well, good evening. Would you like to create a new document? And the first document it has here is what they call a blank document. Okay? It does have like taking a tour of Word, right? But then it also has what we call templates. Okay? These templates are pre-formatted documents that instead of starting with a very blank page, you can start with a document that's kind of pre-formatted, like a business letter or a resume, and then what you can do is you can just change the information in the template instead of starting from scratch. Okay? This is in Microsoft Word. Now, I'm going to switch over to Google Docs to show you what Google Docs looks like. Very similar. Do you want a blank document, or do you want to start with a template? These are all, see, this is like a lesson plan template, class notes, or a letter template. These are all already kind of pre-formatted documents that you can just change the content of and make your own. And then at the bottom, it has recent documents that you might have worked on. Okay? I'm going to go back to Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word also has at the bottom recent documents you worked on. Okay? So Google Docs and Microsoft Word look very similar. And they're the same type of application. They're both word processors, and they do the same thing. Okay? I'm going to create a new document in each one because the menus are different between the two. So in Google Docs, I'm going to say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to create a blank document. And it says, okay. So it creates me a blank document. You can see the edges of the paper. Here's my cursor blinking at me here. And
Are you not in Word?
you're right. Am I not in Word?
Let's see.
I am in Word. Yeah, I apologize.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, and let me, since we're looking at mine, I use a pageless view, but I'm going to go to a pages view, so it'll look a lot more like. Okay, so I'm sorry. This is Google Docs. When I created into a document, and this is Microsoft Word when I create a new document. Microsoft Word and Google Docs. Okay, so at the top of our word processor, you're going to notice two things. In Google Docs, you have a list of drop-down menus, okay? And underneath the drop-down menus, you have what's called a toolbar. So I'm going to move my mouse up to these are what we call drop-down menus. There's a file menu, and if I click on it, it shows me all of the options I can do to a file that I'm working on. The file that I'm working with, okay? They have an edit menu, a view menu, an insert menu, a format menu, and a tools menu. These are all drop-down menus, okay? Anything that you need to do in this word processor can be found in these drop-down menus. Everything. We do also have a toolbar, right? Like if you notice, I'm floating my mouse over a little image of what looks like a printer, right? That printer is on my toolbar, but it's duplicated. I can print under the file. If I go to the file menu and go down to the bottom, I have a printer down here at the bottom of my file menu. Okay? So the reason we have these toolbars is because sometimes there are items that we use a lot, and it's quicker and easier to have a button up there for it than to try and find it in a drop-down menu. Okay? So everything that's in that toolbar can also be found in the drop-down menus. They're duplicated. Okay? As a matter of fact, the drop-down menus even give you a little bit of good information. If I click on the File menu here, and I go down to the Print, you'll notice that the Print option in my File menu has got a little picture of a printer. That's telling you what the toolbar button looks like. So it's telling you, hey, you can choose File Print to print something, but you can also click on the printer button and it'll do the same thing. And if you notice off to the right here, see what it says, Control P?
Shortcut.
That's the shortcut key.
Oh,
So, if you wanted to print what you were typing, you could do it 3 different ways. You could go to the File menu and click Print. You could click on the printer button in your toolbar, or you could get Control P as the shortcut key to print. They all do the same thing. There's 3 different ways to get to them. Okay?
Okay, so you hit the control button and press the P.
Right. I'll show you real quick. I'll go up to the File menu here, and I'll click Print. And you'll notice that it opens up what they call a dialog box. The dialog box is anytime the computer comes up with a box and they need information from you. They need a dialogue from you. It's like, okay, well, what size paper are you going to print out? How many copies you want? It opens this print dialog box. File, print. Now, if I instead go up to my toolbar up here and hit that print button, same exact thing happens. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to cancel this, and instead I'm going to hold down the control key on my keyboard. I'm going to hit Control P. They all do the same thing. Okay? It's not meant to be confusing. It's meant to be whatever works best for you.
Accessibility.
It's right. So if you are a person who does a lot of typing and you're working in a job where typing speed is important, Control P is going to be a lot quicker than lifting your hands off the keyboard and going to that mouse, right? And going and finding stuff in a drop-down menu, okay? And if you don't know what a shortcut key is, like, oh, I want to copy and paste a bunch of things over and over and over again, but I would rather do it with shortcut keys than keep going up to the menu. Under the Edit menu here, and let me see, I don't have anything selected. I'm going to select some text. Under the Edit menu, see I have Cut, Copy, and Paste. It tells me that, hey, there's a toolbar button with scissors to cut. The Copy, the toolbar button looks like these 2 copies of a piece of paper, and the Paste button looks like a clipboard. And remember last week when we were learning about copy and paste, I said if you copy something, the computer makes a copy of it and puts it on the clipboard, an invisible place inside the computer that you can't see. You just have to trust it copied it there. And when you paste something later, you're telling the computer, hey, whatever I have on the clipboard, paste it here. So the shortcut keys and the toolbar buttons, the toolbar buttons look like a clipboard because that's what paste is. But it's also showing you that these have shortcut keys as well. Cut, Control X is cut, Control C is copy. And that makes sense. I can see how Control X would be cut and Control C would be copy. Control V is paste. Why do you think they chose V for paste? Because if you look at your keyboard, it's right next to the X and the C.
It's
Not
right
only
next to
that-
what?
It's right next to the Control X and the Control C.
Not only that.
X, C, and V. Right, X, C, and V are all right in a line. So when you're on your keyboard, you can take your little finger, hold down the Control key, and these 3 fingers can cut, copy, paste, cut, copy, paste.
Because it's convenient.
Yeah. It's simply a convenience thing. Also, we have undo up here. Remember I taught you last week that if you do something you don't know what you did, you can undo it? Well, there's a toolbar button for it. It looks like this little backwards arrow here. If I show you, it's right here. This is your undo. But undo also has a shortcut key, Control Z. And that's the letter closest to the control button on your left, Control Z. So if I come down here and I select this text, and I accidentally type something over it, and I can undo it by hitting Control, and then while I'm holding down Control Z, and it'll undo what I did. Okay. Control Z is a very handy shortcut key. Okay. Now, almost all computer applications have a combination of drop-down menus for everything that you need to do in the application, and a toolbar for the things that you do most often. And those toolbars are customizable. If you're using your word processor a lot, you can choose what's in that toolbar up there. It's customizable. The only caveat there is Microsoft Word did away with the drop-down menus. Just about every other word processor on the market has a combination of drop-down menus and toolbars. But Word, on the other hand, let me show you what that looks like. Microsoft Word, it looks like these up here at the top are drop-down menus. They have file, just like a file menu, home, insert, design. But when you click on these, notice they don't drop down a menu. They change the toolbar.
Yeah.
So now instead, in Microsoft Word, instead of having a drop-down menu, it will change the toolbar. And Microsoft calls this a ribbon toolbar. It's an especially fat toolbar, and it's got everything that you need in the toolbars now. Okay. So I have a view toolbar here. In Google Docs, I had a view menu that would allow me to change how I'm viewing my workspace. In Microsoft Word, they have a view toolbar, ribbon toolbar, that will allow me to change the view of my workspace. So that's a little bit different. Okay. When you open up Microsoft Word, it's on this home toolbar. And what you're going to notice sometimes is you're going to be working on typing, working on writing a letter, and you're going to go up into the toolbar, and you're like, well, wait a minute, where's my bold? Where's my italics? Where's my buttons? And you don't see them, and you're like, oh, I have the wrong toolbar open. And you need to go up here in Word and click on your home toolbar to change your toolbar from maybe the view toolbar up here back to your home toolbar. And the home toolbar is the toolbar buttons that we use the most. Cut, copy, and paste is here on the left. This here is what we call font or text formatting. And this block here is paragraph formatting. Okay? So today what we're going to do, and we're going to take a little break here. It's about 6:30. So we're going to take a little break. Sam is going to get Microsoft Word open for all of us, make sure we're all on the same page here, and help yourself to some refreshments. And then we're going to start typing and learning how to get around Microsoft Word with our keyboard and with our mouse. Okay? So let's do that. Sam, if you could help them get Word open, get a new document up, and have it full screen, and we'll take about a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back and we'll start typing in Microsoft Word.
What's the password?
If you're asked to log in as student, the username and the password is the same. Capital S, student. So you remember you have to hold down the shift key and hit the S to make it capital. But capital S and student, and that will log you in.
How do you get around this Copilot? Because online, when I'm trying to type something, the Copilot is always, bugging me.
I was gonna bring that up. Thank you, sir.
I got those first two in.
Word.
Yeah. But all the shortcuts that said you just go. Girl, please. And I don't know how many times how you type in a long paper and you don't say,
Yeah.
you don't say who you go. And I mess around and lose. Well, I would mess around and lose what I had. And I remember one time it was like 11, about 10 times I got almost to the end of the paper. And hit the wrong button and it all.
Excuse me, I'm going to please.
I had to go do it all
What I
over
do,
again.
when I enter in and I'm gonna type something, I go right to save.
Yeah, I should have went to save.
Yep.
Gotta do it in a minute.
And most people
So many times losing my stuff.
Because you know what I was going to do. I was going to take
Before I got what to do, He gave me, he gave me the second. Before I got to Purdue, that's when my grandmother was.
I got the book.
That's why,
No,
when I got with Purdue, you only have to check me. I was just thinking tonight. I was so and then the staff, they started doing all the ceremonies, so they thought I wanted to show. That's not what I wanted.
shows
They
you
made
where
me become president. That's how they did it. I became active. And then she vacated. That's when me and you met. She vacated. And I became president. And that's when you saw me in operation. That's how it happened. You know what I'm saying? I had other skills, but I was able to apply. You know, do what I do. They were. Oh, we can get rid of her. They begged me to come on. Like, that lady, I didn't know what to take care of. I'm trying to do my last child this week. You know, when we sit in the director of the like, we gotta have kids. My staff. When we sit in them office.
Yeah.
You know they ain't no Mr. What was his name? Martin.
But then, you know, then somebody else was there, and I met him, I forgot his name. But he was over that program. Then they just ran the program.
Who did you meet? I'm trying to say something.
The president after the guy we had out there, trouble with.
Mr. Hardy.
Yeah, when Mr. Hardy left, somebody else took that position.
We didn't stay with him long.
And then they disbanded the program. Disbanded the program.
Yeah, it just disintegrated.
You know, I was just telling her, when I was in nursing school, I had to type all of those papers. Type all of those papers without most of this.
Yeah.
APA. Huh?
You look confused.
I need to think about going back. This was my forte. I think I'm going back. Get my social work.
It don't have to do with the computer.
I'm back. I need to learn how to type papers at home.
True. Just take your time. You're not rushing, you're not in a race.
I don't know how that doesn't keep you wrong.
That's right.
You don't even have to type now.
I understand.
Computer, you can get up there and
But you ain't gonna get it if you,
I have to quit like about 7 o'clock. Then I'll be okay. Anything after that, you're right, it keeps me up.
because of your mistakes. Take your time.
Okay.
He need to be a teacher. He got patience.
Sometimes.
I see you be glad now. You be calming her down. Yeah.
Kids and teenagers are a little bit different though.
I'm just listening.
They're different.
You know, it makes sense.
You're halfway right.
It makes sense. You know, because if you wanted somebody
They're very
that
conscious
you
of
wanted
every
to
word.
hire, you want them to perform a function, you want them to do
That's true.
same thing with anybody else. If you want them to get their loot,
ASDF, JKF, they'll tell you that right to the
And that way you can keep it.
I don't need right now, without knowing that key.
You don't have
And
to
now
worry
you know how
about
to operate it properly.
nobody coming in and moving you.
Yeah. Cause you ain't gonna get no job. You need to know what you're doing.
You got to know what you're doing. That's right.
Exactly. You can do it on your free time, your personal time, you know what I'm saying? You can do it on your then you doing some real, create documents,
Yeah,
you gotta know how to
especially if
keep
you're
it.
doing some data entry or really.
Exactly.
Even, the case management, I see how they typing and all, you know, when you didn't have to write all of that down. When I was doing that, just write a little sentence, they don't hold capital.
Okay.
I know.
Before I have you all start typing, in Microsoft Word, I want to show you a couple of little things that if you decide to use Google Docs instead of Microsoft Word, it's a great program. It does, I would say, 95% of everything that you can do in Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word has been around a lot longer, and every couple of years when they make updates to Microsoft Word, they fill it full of more features to justify upgrading to a newer version.
And giving you a higher price.
Yeah, and giving you a higher price. And some of those are great. Some of those are nice additions. Google Docs has come a long way to being able to do just about everything it does. But one thing it doesn't do is what we call a mail merge. And a mail merge is a way to take data in a spreadsheet and fill in a form letter if you had like lots of different form letters to print out. I'm not going to get too much into that right now because if you're here for the spreadsheet classes, we create a data table, and at the end of the spreadsheet classes, I show you how to connect data from a spreadsheet into a Word document and have it generate form letters for you. So we'll show you how to do that. But that's like one of the things that it doesn't do currently in Google Docs. Just about everything else it does. You can insert pictures, you can do just everything else Microsoft Word does. But there are a couple of main differences. And I'm going to talk to you about those real quick before we start typing. The first main difference is in Microsoft Word, you have to save the document you're typing in as a file. In Google Docs, it saves as you go. You do not have to hit the save button ever. As a matter of fact, you'll notice up here next to this little cloud thing right here, when I start typing, you'll see where it says saving up there? It says saving, and then it says save to drive.
Oh, okay,
So as you are working on your document, it saves it as you go. You don't have to save it. Now, it's going to help if you name it. And when in Microsoft Word, at the end of today, I'm going to show you how to save what we're working on as its own file and name it. But in Google Docs, up here where it says Untitled Document, this is where we name the document. So if you just click up here, what it'll do is it'll take the first line of the document and guess that's what you want to name it. But I'm just going to change the name of this to Test Doc for Class. So now this document is called Test Doc for Class. It saves as I go, and I don't have to hit save. That's different from Microsoft Word. And we'll see that after we're done typing in Microsoft Word. I'll show you how to save a file out of that. Question?
where does it save, what does it save it to?
It saves it to your Google Drive. So a Google Drive is just another app in your Google Apps, and you've got it on your phone too. And it is an online storage location. They call it Google Drive because they want you to think of it like that little flash drive, just as a storage, a place to store files in the cloud, in your password-protected Google. So if I am in my email here, sorry about that. If I'm in my email here and I come to this Google Apps checkerboard and I choose Google Drive, what Google Drive will do is it'll show me all of the files that I have. And if I go to recent, now I've got a lot of folders in here. If I go to recent activity on my left, I should see, yeah, test doc for class. So this is, that is the file that I just created in my Google Docs. I have that open in another tab in my browser because remember, all of these are just websites. The storage location and the word processor that we're working on, this, and if you look up in the address bar, this is just a web page where I'm typing this letter. It is a fully functional word processing program that is operating in a browser on a website. You don't have to save as you go. I urge people when they're using the computers in our lab here to not use Microsoft Word. Use Google Drive if you can. Because these computers are set, they have a timer. And if they get to a 1 hour mark, it starts warning you, hey, you're almost out of time. You had it run out of time, haven't you? Sheila. Okay. So.
We've had that experience.
Exactly. So what happens is, if you're using Microsoft Word, right, and you type a resume in Microsoft Word and you save it to the computer here in the lab, if you're not paying attention and your time runs out, it restarts the computer and flushes all the data so the next patron who sits down can't see it. You've lost all your stuff.
That's right.
And I come, people go, oh man, I've been working on this for an hour. Where did it go? I'm like, it's gone. But if you're on Google Docs and it's saving as you go, and that computer restarts, when it comes back, log back into Google, go to your Google Drive, and your Google Doc is going to be exactly where you left it. Because it's not on the computer. It's on the website. And as a matter of fact, if that computer restarts, you can go to a completely different computer and log into your Google account and see exactly where you were. Because that document exists in one place on the internet. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about Google Docs before we get into Word. In Microsoft Word, when you type a letter, you can save it as its own file, right? And then you can attach that file to an email, and you can email it to somebody.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Google Docs doesn't work that way. Since Google Docs is on the internet, you can share that one Google Doc with somebody so they can see the same thing you're working on. In Google Docs, you got a big share button up here.
Okay.
Okay? And this is how it works. If you go up here to share, it says, okay, who do you want to share this with? First of all, it tells you, right now, it's a brand new letter I typed. It's restricted. Only you can see it if you're logged into your Google account. Nobody else can see it. I can change this access. I can say, you know what? Make it so anybody with the link, because it's just a link to a web page, and anybody with a link can see it. Now that's pretty handy if like a children's librarian's making a flyer. Because now she can say anybody with a link can see this flyer. It's not private. It's meant to be public, and anybody can see it, right? But restricted means that I can add people by email. So, okay, so if you know, so see this is me. This is my email account for work, the ccpl.org. I'm going to share this with my personal email account. This is my personal email account, right? And when I say I'm going to share this with my personal account, anytime you share a document with somebody, it says, okay, well, do you want them to be able to edit this? Or just view it? Like a children's librarian who makes a flyer and sends it to people. They don't want them to edit it. It's complete. They're done. They just want people to view the file. There are other times you're typing something, you want people to critique what you're typing. You might make them a commenter. They can comment on the document, but they can't change it. Or you can make somebody an editor. And when you make somebody an editor, that means that they can type on the same document that you have open, you can type at the same time.
But they can't change what's on there already.
They can change what's on there already. They can edit the document any way they want to.
Give them the right to change it. So if I'm typing a letter for a class and I'm running out of time, I put my teacher's email in there, email it to them like that.
Right. They get an email with a link to this document that you're working on.
Oh,
Exactly. So I'm going to put my, and then if you want to, I can put a message in here and I can say, please update. And I'm going to hit send. And what this is going to do is it's going to send my personal email a notification that, hey, Mike at ecpl.org just shared a document with you. Share anyway. It says, hey, Ashbach at gmail.com is outside the library. You want to share it? Yes, I do. Share anyway. Okay, so I just got an email that says, hey, Mike from the library just shared a document with you to edit. I can open it on my computer or I can open it on my phone. I'm just going to say, okay, I'm going to open this on my phone and I'm going to edit it. Now watch what happened. The document that I'm working on my computer saw that my personal account logged in and gave my cursor a different color. So now I'm editing this document on my phone and you can see what I type in. If you shared this with somebody else and they logged into the same document, you could see everything that they're doing on this spreadsheet. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say, yes, I can edit this document now too, exclamation point. See? This is what I typed on the computer, and when I shared it with my personal account, this is what the other user typed. So you can collaborate and talk at the same time. You can edit on a document at the same time. Why is this important? Why is this good? I used to do a newsletter, a monthly newsletter for a library I worked at, not this one. I would have 4 or 5 different librarians add to that newsletter. I would type up a blank newsletter in Word, and then I would send 4 librarians a copy of that document. What did I just do? I made 4 different copies of that document. When you attach a file to an email, you make a copy of that file from your computer, and you send it to them in Microsoft Word. When they make edits to those documents and send them back to me, that's 4 more copies they just made. Now there are 8 copies of the same document, a newsletter in Microsoft Word that I got to put all together. This Google Doc exists in one place and one place only. So instead of making a copy of it and emailing it to them like you do in Word, I can share this with them and they can all see the same document. I can see librarian number 1 adding her stuff. I can see librarian number 2 adding his stuff. And it saves as you go. Very handy. And you might think to yourself, okay, well, what if I share it with somebody and they mess it all up and they delete stuff that I wanted in there and they change things around and I don't like it? And it saves as you go? Well, Google Docs gives you the ability to roll back to previous versions. So under the File menu in Google Docs, since it only exists as one file, I can go to the File menu and I can come down here to Version History and I can say, you know what? Show me the version history of this document. And on the left-hand side, it says, okay, well, 2 different people edited it today. I mean, they're both me, my work account and my personal account. And it's showing you in the different colors what each person wrote. The work account typed it in green. The personal account typed it in this purple. And if you had a third one, it would give them a third color. So you could kind of differentiate between them. Okay? So Google Docs, these are the differences between Google Docs and Microsoft Word. Primarily, it's a cloud-based thing. And I've kind of been considering lately only teaching to this.
Google Drive.
Google Docs instead of Microsoft Word. When I first started doing computer classes at a library 20 years ago now, Microsoft Word was the only thing out there. Over time, more and more people use Google Docs, and Google Docs is free with a Google account. What do you think?
Google Docs.
You think that maybe in future classes I should just teach the Google Docs?
No, you should teach both.
You think I should?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else think I should teach both?
Yeah, I would say so.
Well, it's both. It's good both to know both.
Okay.
I would say specifically, if somebody is going into the workplace, that employer may only have Microsoft.
You're right, you're right. And for the most part, everything works the same between the two. What I just highlighted was different. The ribbon toolbar is different, and the point that it exists in one place and saves as you go are the big, big differences there. And you share it with somebody instead of attaching a file to an email.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like, having a, conference call, but instead of talking, you're
Exactly, it is.
typing.
It is, and you can comment. There's a comment section, because if you're ever editing a document with another person who's in another place, you realize right away, ooh, I need to be talking to them, right? I need to say something to them. So there is a comment section, so you don't have to type in the letter that you're working on to communicate. You can comment over to the left. So, okay. So let's all go back to our Microsoft Word. And this is where we're all at, right? Did you go to the log out? You're all here?
Yes.
Okay, let's start typing. We're going to get used to typing. What I want you to type, oh, you know what I'm going to do first? I want to show you how to change the size of the paper we're working on to make it easier to see. We're going to view this paper a little larger. So the first thing we need to do is our toolbar up at the top is our home toolbar. We need to change our home toolbar to show us our view toolbar. So go up to the top with your mouse and click on up here where it says view. If you click on view, you're going to see a button that says zoom here.
At the top,
Yeah, so what we want to do is,
what is zoom at?
if you click on your view toolbar here, you're going to see a zoom button right here.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I see it. I click on that.
Yeah. And then we're going to click on zoom. I see that all the time. People are used to touch screens. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I want you to change this to 150%. Now, it allows you to shrink it down by 25%, but the next one up is 200%. So what you have to do is you have to change this percent here. You have to change it to 150% using these little arrows.
I'm in the wrong place.
And then when you change the view to 150, you're going to hit OK.
What happened?
You said change it to 150?
You're in the help toolbar. Click on the view toolbar.
Okay.
There, and there's your zoom.
Yeah, and I hit that, and then it took me back, and then it took me back, oh.
Okay, and then change that percent to 150%.
Mine cut
That's
off.
because that one doesn't have.
Oh, okay. That's correct.
Oh, you told me it's,
You did.
oh, okay.
Yeah, you did. That's 150. It's just a little bit
What did he
bigger.
do?
I had gone to,
But you hit student on there, right? S-T-U-D-E-N-T.
I had gone to.
Oh, that's what it
home.
That's it?
Yeah.
Couldn't I have just gone here?
No, and that's why I wanted to show you this.
He want us to go to the view.
View,
View, zoom, and see,
view, zoom, and change it to 150%. So she just said, well, couldn't I just change the font size? So I'm going to change this to 150%. So what this is doing is this is changing our workspace. It's making the paper look bigger,
Okay,
is what it's doing.
okay.
It's
The letters, the paper.
so if you change your font size, it's going to print out bigger. If you change the view size, it's going to print out the same way. It's just going to be easier for you to see.
Oh, okay.
That's all it is. Just easier to see. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to start typing. And follow me here. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog's, apostrophe S, dog's back. And then hit the period. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog's back.
The round fox?
The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog's back.
Quick brown, B-R-O-W.
That's correct. Quick brown fox.
Oh, okay.
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 Do you know what this sentence means? Who knows what this sentence means?
The brown
Fox jumped over the lazy dog back.
It's actually got a little bit deeper meaning than that. It uses every letter on the type of the alphabet.
Oh,
So if you're testing a typewriter, you can type that sentence in, and that's every letter of the alphabet's in that sentence.
wow.
I think they used it in the early days of the military to test
Oh,
things. I don't remember.
on a typewriter, we used to have to type. Now is the time for every something.
Yeah,
Was that the different one?
That's
Yeah.
when we had to learn how to type. Now it's the time for every good man to stand up
Okay.
for their country or something.
something of that nature. That's right.
Okay, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so we can see it.
So you can make it bigger so we'll go to the home.
You don't have to make it bigger. I'm just going to make this bigger so I'm going to show you something. So you can see it. You don't have to do this. So, basically, if I were to type all this in again, I'm going to show you what this will look like. Lazy. So, okay. So I typed the sentence twice. I just want to show you. So does everybody see the ruler up here? Everybody see a ruler up here? If you don't, you can turn the ruler on and off. Under the view toolbar, there's a little ruler here with a checkbox. And if you remember this, our typewriters had that. Typewriter had a ruler across the top to give you an idea of the size of the page, right? And these are your margins. This little diamond here is your margin here. This little diamond here is your margin. So,
Oh, okay.
so I just want to show you what word wrap looks like. So when I type in the word dogs, so I type in Y and then space and then I hit the D. See how it automatically puts the D on the second line down there? I did not have to hit return for that to happen. It automatically wrapped.
What did you do?
I just kept typing. And when I type, so watch. If I just type lazy dogs back, watch what happened. L-A-Z-Y-D-O. See, as soon as I hit the D, it sees I'm out of space, and it automatically wraps the sentence back down to the second line. It automatically sees that. That's when, like the typewriter, we don't need the carriage return anymore. It automatically wraps for us. Dogs back. You're going to see, as you type, you're going to see some weird stuff happen. I'm going to show you something right quick. So see this word jumped here?
Yeah.
Fox, I'm going to type in jumped, but J-U-M-P-P-E-D. That is a misspelling of the word jumped, right?
Yeah.
Now, when I hit the space bar, watch what happens to the word jumped. Fixed it. Your word processor has a dictionary built in. If it's a common misspelling, it'll just replace it for you. It'll just go, no, that's wrong. This is what you meant. And then, but what it'll do is watch. If I float my mouse over this, oh, it's not doing it. Oh, it did. Here we go. I did it a second time and it underlined it in red. Okay. Okay, it fixed brown too. Now, if I float my mouse over this, you'll see a little underline under the B. And what that is telling you is, hey, it auto-corrected this for me. That's called autocorrect. When you're typing and you accidentally mistype something, and it automatically corrects it, there may be times that you don't want it to autocorrect.
Right.
And in that case, it does give you, there's a little blue underline under what are autocorrected, and it has a little drop-down arrow, and you can say, you know what, change it back to brown with 2 O's, or stop automatically correcting the word brown. You can choose that. I'm not going to choose that. I just want you to see that it's there. My last name is a weird East Chicago Hungarian name, Ashbach, A-C-S-B-O-K. So when I'm in Word and I type in Ashbach, it changes it to Facebook. Yeah. I'm like, no, stop. And what you can do is you can add it to the dictionary. See this control autocorrect options down here?
Yeah.
If it's something that you type a lot and it's constantly underlining it in red telling you that you misspelled it or correcting it, you can add the word to the dictionary. So I add my last name to the dictionary, ACSBOK, it's a weird Hungarian name, right? If I misspell it, and sometimes I got sloppy hands, it'll correct it to my name if I put it in the dictionary. Okay.
So where's the, you said it was a dictionary that you can,
There is, yeah. So if you go to autocorrect options down here, don't do this with me. I'll just show you what it looks like. If I open this up, then you can add autocorrect options. There's math autocorrect. There's format as you type. There's lots of stuff that you can. Okay, and this is a good one. Correct accidental use of caps lock. If you ever sat down at a computer and accidentally hit caps lock and then typed in 4 sentences and looked up and everything lowercase was uppercase and everything uppercase was lowercase and it was all backwards, well, Microsoft Word will fix it automatically for you. It'll see it. As a matter of fact, let me show you what that looks like. Fox. Well, here we go. Oh, it did it, didn't it? Yeah. So, right, so as soon as I typed in the, it noticed the first letter was small and the other two were up. It shut off my caps lock for me automatically, and it switched it back. All right. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog's back. Okay. Now, I type that quick, and I've got a lot of red underlines in there. The red underline is telling you that it is thinks it's misspelled, and it doesn't know what it can change it to. You can use the right mouse button. Remember, we talked about the right mouse button does one thing. It gives you a menu that's different depending on where you right-click. Underlined in red will recommend, so like Brian, I mistyped brown because of my sloppy typing. I can right-click on the word brown, and look at it offers suggestions. Brown. Did you mean brown, or did you mean Brogan? Or you mean brand? Doesn't know what I meant. So I go, I meant brown. I can just click brown off the menu and it'll pick it up. Dogga, I meant dogs. I click on that. So, oh, did you mean dogs? Yeah, I meant dogs. And actually, I'm not, yeah, so I right click and it says, okay, did you want dogs? Apostrophe S? Yes, dogs. And it'll automatically do that. When you see a green underline, it's suggesting that your grammar is not correct. The spelling is a lot better than the grammar, I've found. Sometimes it'll tell me my grammar's not correct when it is.
is there a key in here that will do a spell check, like for a whole paper?
No, because it does it as it goes. In the old days, it did. In the old days, you would type a letter and then you would run spell check. And it would just look over all your words and see what was misspelled. Not anymore. It just does it as you go. So everything underlined in red, it thinks you misspelled. But so sometimes, like, I might misspell the word back with an O in there, and I right-click here. Ignore all. This is what I used to do. This menu looks a bit different. It used to say ignore all. Now it's a little slash. And this is a little dictionary. Add to dictionary is here. So these are the two buttons you see at the bottom. Ignore all. And that's most, if you're typing something and you have a person's last name that's not recognizable, and it's in there a lot, you can just say, just ignore all. So in the future, for the entire document, if I just put in my last name, Ashbach, it'll just ignore it and just no. But if I save that document and create a new document, it'll start flagging it again. If I add it to the dictionary, which is the little book down there, then even if I shut that file down and open a new file, it will not tag my name as misspelled because it's in the dictionary. It thinks it's spelled correctly. So I'm going to change that to back. And Microsoft Word crashed. It did.
Did it have a timer on it?
No. No, I don't know what happened. But it's crashing as we speak. Okay, so next week, we're going to talk about formatting text. So we're going to do a little bit more typing now, and I'm going to show you how to get around with your keyboard and your mouse. But next week, we're going to talk about formatting. And what that is text formatting and paragraph formatting. Changing the text to look the way we want it, either bigger, bolder, italic, or changing the font to make it like script or anything we want like that. That is what we call text formatting. And yeah, my Microsoft Word is, let's try that. Let's close. Okay. You restart Microsoft Word. Hey, look at that. Okay, so this is one thing that Microsoft does now. It recovered an unsaved file. It noticed that I had this typed in, and it wants me to save it. I didn't want to do this yet, but I'll do it. Okay. It also doesn't have the word BOAC underlined anymore. I'll just change that to back. But when we are formatting text, that we're going to do mostly next week, we need to select the text that we want to format.
Oh,
Okay?
you mean like italic?
Right. So what if in this sentence you wanted the words brown fox italicized or bold or to look different? Well, you would need to select the words brown fox
Yeah.
and then tell it you wanted those words to be formatted differently. Okay. We're going to do the bulk of the formatting next week, but I want to show you how to get around a sentence that you typed in Microsoft Word to either select something or to just move around. Okay? The easiest way to select a word is by clicking and dragging with your mouse. So if I wanted to select the words brown fox, I could come over with my cursor, my mouse cursor like this. I could put this is an I-beam. I could put that I-beam at the beginning of the word brown fox, and I can click and drag across both words brown fox. I want you to do that. And I'll show you again if you want to see it. I'm going to take my I-beam. I'm going to put it right in the beginning of the word brown fox, and I'm going to click and drag to select brown fox. Clicking and dragging is when you click down with the left mouse button with your index finger and then hold that left mouse button down while you move the mouse. That's called clicking and dragging. Keeping that mouse button down and moving your mouse allows you to select the words brown fox.
I mean, I'm selecting it, but I still can't drag it.
Well, if it's selected, that means you dragged it correctly. You're not dragging the words. You're dragging the mouse pointer to select the word. So if it looks highlighted like that, then you did it right.
Oh, okay.
And I'll show you again what that looks like. I'm going to take my mouse I-beam here. The mouse pointer changes to this I-beam when you're working with text to make it easier to put your little cursor at the beginning or between words. I'm going to click right at the right before the letter B, and I'm going to click and drag to the right, and it just highlights the words brown fox. Now, when text is highlighted, not only can we now format it differently than other parts of the sentence, but if we were to start typing right now, it would replace what we have selected, which is pretty handy. Sometimes you want, oh, you know what, you're writing a story and you're like, I don't want that to be a brown fox anymore. I want it to be a blue bird. You can click and drag to select brown fox. If you have it selected, all you need to do is type in blue bird. Do that. Type in BLUE, BIRD, and notice it just automatically replaced what I had selected.
Okay. I think before that, I probably would have deleted it and then typed in.
Right, and most people would have done that, and you could have done that. So I'm going to show you the difference between backspace and delete. Okay, so see where our cursor is? Does everybody have that blinking cursor there right after the word bird?
Yeah.
Right? We just typed in the word blue bird. So our cursor is currently in the middle of the sentence.
Yeah.
There's a backspace key on your keyboard, and that backspace key is going to delete what is behind the cursor. It's going to delete bird and then blue. So do that. Delete blue bird by hitting the backspace key. One at a time. The backspace key will go backwards and delete the word blue bird.
So you're just gonna keep clicking it until it moves it all together.
Now we're going to type in the word silverfish instead.
Silverfish.
Silverfish. It changed it. It changed the grammar check. The AI grammar check changed silverfish to quicksilver.
Uh-huh.
I didn't want to do that. So what you can do is I can go down here to ignore here, click on it, hit ignore.
Did nothing come up.
Yeah, mine didn't
Mine
come
did,
up
but
with
did
that
nothing come up.
dive box.
I had to click on it to get it up.
Okay.
Quick silverfish jumped over the lazy dog's back.
Mhm.
So you want us to click on Quicksilver or just ignore?
You can ignore it for now, because what the next thing I want to do is I want to show you how you can move your cursor around the sentence without going to your mouse. Because right now we're going to the mouse and we're clicking where we need to go. And that takes your hands off the keyboard, and that can take time. If you get used to using the arrow keys on your keyboard to hop around the sentence, if you get used to that, you won't have to take your hands off the keyboards, and you can get around. So notice right now my cursor is at the end of the word silver, right? Use the right arrow buttons on the keyboard. They're right below the shift keys there, up, down, left, right. Use the right arrow, and you'll notice that the right arrow just allows you to move your cursor right, and then the left arrow allows you to move the cursor to the left, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can move around the sentence using those arrow keys. Move the cursor all the way to the left, all the way to the beginning of the sentence, right before the word the. Does everybody have their cursor blinking at the beginning of the word the?
Yeah.
All right, now I want you to do the same thing with the arrows, but this time I want you to hold down the control key on the keyboard. So hold down that CTRL key. It doesn't matter which one, there's two. There's one on the left-hand corner bottom, and there's one right to the left of the arrow keys. If you hold down the control key and now hit the right arrow, look what it does. Instead of moving one letter at a time, each right arrow click is one whole word jump.
Okay.
Mine's not doing that.
You're holding down the control key?
Oh, no.
Yeah, yours is done. What was supposed to happen?
If you hold down the control key and use the arrow keys with the control key, it's going to move your cursor entire words instead of one letter at a time.
Oh, see where it jumped to? Yeah. Okay. Well, but it's gone. No, it did. Okay, it jumped.
Okay, so now what I want you to do, hold the control key down and use the arrow keys to get your cursor right in front of the word silver. See, like mine is right up there. See, I have a blinking cursor right in front of the word silver. Now, the backspace key would delete the stuff behind the cursor. The delete key deletes the stuff in front of the cursor. So now we're going to use our delete key. It's right above the backspace key, but we're going to use our delete key to delete the word silver, which is in front of the cursor. That is the difference between the delete key and the backspace key. The backspace key would have deleted the word click. The delete key deleted the word in front of it. So if you look up at your document and you see where your cursor is, if you want to delete the word behind it, you can hit the backspace key. If you want to delete the word in front of it, you can hit the delete key. Now that you have silver deleted, change it to blue. Type in the word blue. The quick blue fish jumped over the lazy dog's back. Remember how I told you you could hold down the control, or you could click and drag to select a word? You can select a word using the arrow keys too. If you hold down the shift key. So if your cursor is right at the beginning of the word fish right here, hold down the shift key and use the right arrow button, and notice what it does. It selects the word fish. The shift key and the arrow keys move the cursor but select the text at the same time. Now that you have the word fish selected, change that word to bear. B-E-A-R. The quick blue bear jumped over the lazy dog's back. Getting used to the arrow keys to move your cursor around, using the control key to jump whole words will help if you do a lot of typing. Clicking and dragging to select a word is fine, but you got to take your hands off the keyboard. You can hold down the shift key and the arrow key to select a word. Now, what do you think is going to happen if I hold down Control and Shift when I move the arrow keys?
Won't it delete?
Won't delete. Now it's going to select entire words at a time. Hold down Control and Shift and move the right arrow, and notice that it selects entire words with each click.
Mike,
Yeah.
quick question before I forget. What version of Word are we working on?
This is Office 365. So Office 365 is a subscription that updates itself and keeps it current all the time. And you subscribe to it. And kind of Google Docs is the same way, since it's a web page. Then you don't have to install new versions. Google Docs, when they come up with updates, it just kind of integrates it in. And then one day you'll sit down in Google Docs and you'll see a new feature. And most of the time it'll highlight it and go, oh, hey, Google Docs can do something new today. And it'll kind of show you. Office 365, you can subscribe to and download it and install it on your computer, and it just keeps itself updated. But if you don't want to pay a monthly subscription, you still can buy the standalone disk to install or a download to install. That's not a monthly subscription. It's like a one-time fee. I think Microsoft Office is these days running about $120. If you're a student, you can get a really good discount. And if you would rather not pay a monthly, you can pay the $120 and just use that version for a long time.
So how can you tell which version that you're in?
Well, under the Help menu is normally About. And that's in almost every program, you can go to Help About, and it'll tell you the version of the software you're using. But in this version, since this is a subscription, it doesn't have an about. It's always up to date. There's not really a version. They call it Office 365. So it's always Office 365. When I go to help, it changes the toolbar up here to what's new. And I can see what's new, but I don't have an about. But in just about every other piece of software, help about it'll tell you the version and the year and all that, and that kind of information. Okay. So, remember we went to the view toolbar to change our view?
Yeah.
Okay, you can also change the view in Microsoft Word. They got a nifty little slider down here on the bottom right,
Okay.
which can be easier to get to. That's a pretty new feature. I wanted you to get used to changing the menus though. But you can use this little slider. But remember, this changes your workspace view. It's not changing the size of the text that would come out the printer.
Okay.
The text out of the printer is going to be the same no matter how much you blow this up. This is your workspace view. This is just how well, if you're having trouble seeing the screen. Right.
Is this a thing that used to be on the side over here that, I mean, when you're on the computer or internet or something that has a zoom thing? A section where you make the page larger or smaller? That's okay. But it used to be up here in this corner with a couple lines underneath it and then make it bigger.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. These things change a lot over time.
See.
And what I'm showing you now with the typing and the holding the shift and the control key, just about everything else I'm going to show you is going to work, whether you're in Google Docs, whether you're in an older version of Word. And these are just the basics. But now that we've typed in a sentence and learned how to move around the sentence and how to select things, next week I'm going to have a document that's already pre-typed but unformatted. Okay, so we're going to start with a document that's a press release for movies, and we're going to learn how to select words, paragraphs, and format text, format paragraphs, insert pictures, and to take a document that's already typed and kind of format it the way we want to see it, as if it were a template. Templates are kind of different. A template is going to open something that's already pre-formatted and you change the text. We're going to open up something with just text that we format. And we'll talk about it next week more, but I urge people not to format as you go. You want to, right? You're starting to type and you're like, ooh, it would look pretty if it was this font. Resist that urge. Type everything and then go back and apply your formatting. And the reason is the document comes out more consistently formatted if you do it that way. So I would recommend. So next week, we're going to open a document that's already typed, and we're going to learn how to format it. But what I want to do now is I want to show you how to save a file. So in Microsoft Word, it doesn't really save as you go. And since my computer crashed, it wanted me to... something here. Documents, student documents. Give me a quick second. Okay. Okay, so to save this document, we need to either choose Save from the File menu or File toolbar, or there is a toolbar button for Save, and it looks like a little diskette. The kids don't know what that is. We know what diskettes are, because we're all getting old. The kids, I don't know why they keep that diskette up there. But this, and if you float your mouse over any of these toolbar buttons, you'll notice it comes up with they call it a tooltip. It shows you what it does. It says, okay, this is a save. Or Control-S is the shortcut key that would do the same thing. So what I want you to do is I want you to go up here and I want you to hit that little diskette. And it's going to say, okay, let's save this file. So there's two very important things that it asks you when you save a file. Is everybody seeing the same thing I'm seeing?
No. Maybe I hit the wrong, okay, there it is.
It wants to know the name of the file and where we're going to put it. Now, last week, when we were in part 3 of Computer Basics, we learned about the file cabinet that comes with Microsoft Windows. They give you a folder called Documents, and we created our own folder in that folder called Letters to kind of organize things a little bit better. But what it's asking you is, what folder in your file cabinet do you want to put this, and what name do you want to give it? Okay? These are very important things. And I see people, when they're using Word a lot, they don't pay attention to this, they just hit save. And then what happens is they're like, oh, where'd that document go? Well, what did you name it? Well, I don't know. Where did you put it? I don't know. Okay, well, that's going to be real hard to find it later. So naming it something you're going to remember, and knowing where you put it is a good thing. It's kind of like going to your file cabinet at home and blindly shoving your taxes into a folder. Well, if you want to find it again, you have to go through all your folders. This Word, the first thing it does is it kind of looks for the first thing that you typed, and it's going to assume that's the name. And this is a bad name. So I just want to call this file Blue Bear, because we currently have a Blue Bear in here, right? So just change the file, and notice this is selected text. Remember, anytime you see selected text, if you type it, it'll type right over it. You don't have to hit delete or backspace. If you see it highlighted, you can just type in the words Blue Bear. So type in Blue Bear. We're going to name the file Blue Bear, and we're going to keep it in Documents. You could have changed it. You could have hit Documents here, and you could have put it in more locations. But Documents is a good place to put this. So when you have the file name is Blue Bear, and the location is Documents, just hit the Save button. And before I do this, I want you to notice something. When you open a new Word document, you're going to see up here at the top, it says Document 2 or Document 1. That's kind of like the default name it gives it before you save it and name it. As soon as I hit Save, you're going to see up here, see where it says Blue Bear? Up here? Now that we have saved this file into our Documents folder, the name of the file is up at the top. It doesn't say Document 1 anymore. It now says Blue Bear. Also, notice what we have up here. We've got an on-off switch that says Auto Save. You can turn this on if you'd like. I'm not going to do that.
Mine is already on. Mine says on.
Okay, yours could be on.
Could you have gone under File and picked the Save button?
You could, and that's the last lesson for today. Okay? Because there's two things in File that I want to show you. There's something called Save, and there's something called Save As.
Mm-hmm. Save As.
All right, why would you do Save As instead of Save?
Save As is going to make you name it.
Correct. Right, so I'm going to go back to the file I'm working on. You don't have to follow me along. I'm just going to show you what this looks like. Right now, I have a sentence in this document called "The quick blue bear jumped over the lazy dog's back." And I have this file named Blue Bear up at the top, right? Mm-hmm. If I change Blue Bear to Brown Fox, and I hit the Save button, it's not going to ask me if I want to rename it. It's just going to save my changes over the file I've already saved called Blue Bear. Right? So watch. I'm going to hit Save. And it saved it. It says it's saved. The name of the file is Blue Bear, even though I changed Quick Blue Bear to Brown Fox. So if I were to close Word, and I'll just show you what this looks like. I'm going to go into my Documents folder. I'm going to go over here to Documents. And, oh, look, I have a file I typed called Blue Bear. Mm-hmm. I had changed it and saved it as Blue Bear. Now when I reopen it, it says Brown Fox, right? If I change Brown Fox back to Blue Bear and hit save, it just saves this document right over the name Blue Bear where I already saved it. So now when I close it, I changed it and I hit save. So now Blue Bear has been changed again and saved back to Blue Bear. Now, if I open up Blue Bear and I change Blue Bear to Brown Fox, and this time I don't choose save, but instead I go to the file menu and I choose save as, this gives me the ability to save this file in a different place and with a different name if I want. So now I'm going to change the name of the file from Blue Bear to Brown Fox. And I'm going to put it in my documents folder. And I'm going to hit save. Now look, up at the top of the document, it changed it to Brown Fox. I saved it as a different name. That's what the difference between save and save as. So I opened up Blue Bear, I changed it to Brown Fox, and I saved that file as a different file named Brown Fox. So if I close this and I look back in my documents folder, now I've got two files. I have Blue Bear that I opened and edited and then saved it as Brown Fox. So now I have two. Why would you do this? Here's a good example why you might do this. If you're sitting down to write a cover letter for a job, and you take a lot of time writing a cover letter all out. And you say, dear, Arby's, these are all the great reasons I want to work at Arby's. And then you save that file as cover letter to Arby's, right? The next day you notice Wendy's is hiring. But the cover letter is going to be pretty much the same. You just have to open up that old cover letter and you have to change where it said Arby's to Wendy's. Change it to Wendy's. But if you hit save, it's going to save over the file that you created for Arby's. If you hit save as, it'll save it as a different document, and then you'll have two. You'll have your original one that you sent to Arby's, and then you'll have the new one that you sent to Wendy's. So save as you can open up an existing file, make a bunch of changes, and then it won't change the original file if you save it as something else.
But the original will still be there.
The original will still be there. So that's what's nice. You're kind of using it as like a template. You're kind of opening up that cover letter to Arby's, you change it to Wendy's, and you save it as Wendy's. Now you have a cover letter to Arby's and cover letter to Wendy's. Next day, you notice that, Culver's is hiring. You're like, okay, so you open up the Wendy's one, change it to Culver's, save it as Culver's, and now you got a cover letter to Arby's, cover letter to Wendy's, and a cover letter to Culver's, and all you did was change the name and save it as a different file. So now you got 3 different files. So save, just hitting save is going to commit your changes to the file that you have opened, where it's at and what it's named. Saving it as gives you the opportunity to save it in a different place or with a different name so the original doesn't get changed. So Arby's could call you in a couple of days and go, oh, could you resend that cover letter? When you won't have to remake it. You preserved the original and saved the one to Wendy's as a different name. Okay?
Okay. What I usually have a problem with is if I type a letter, when type something, save it, and then I can't find it. I don't know where I saved it.
Well, right. So in this case, we've made a mental note. We saved it in documents. We know where it's at.
Okay.
So, and what you do is if you open up Microsoft, you have that little folder down in your taskbar down here. That is your personal file cabinet on your computer. And on the left, here's your downloads, here's your documents, here's your pictures. If you saved it in documents, here it is. And look at, here's the folder that we made last week called letters. Remember, we dragged those letters into it? Next week, we're going to open up this file called Summer Movie Press Release, and we're going to make edits to that. And we're going to learn how to format text, format paragraphs, and then we'll move on to spreadsheets next week. But that's all we got today. It's 7:35.
I wasn't able to save my, just got to fill this out for all this template.
We don't need to save.
last week, right?
Well, customer office samples is full, so hit that. Saving documents? I already saved it. That's okay, but you know what, we gotta go, because the library's closing today, and we gotta vacate the premises.
So if he sells out, I think we could just keep this guy here. Unless you want me to move back.
Put it again, yeah, put it back here against the wall. I was gonna say, I don't want people to mess with it in here, but I don't want people to mess with it in there either. All right, and we are done. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank